Hello everyone, my name is Vern. I'm the owner of Antelope USA. This is probably the most requested video I've ever had, so I'm gonna go ahead and break it down for you guys. This is gonna show you basically every item that you receive in your kit. All kits will come with at least these items, but when you buy the nest separately, they don't come with everything here. So make sure you read the product description and that you're aware of everything your kit comes with. Also, just buying live ants, which you can do, does not come with these accessories either, except for this free gift, which is the test tube feeders. Normally has a business card in it, you get that as well. We also toss some other free gifts in, usually every week. So if you don't see it here, then that's probably a good explanation of what it is. So first off, we're gonna show you the desktop ant farm. This is in quite a few of our kits. This is like one of the easiest, most low maintenance setups ever. We're actually gonna walk you through how to set up a test tube setup for this as well. And the thing that is sitting on top of this is going to be your blackout shield. I'm gonna show you how that works later and explain these little cutouts. Your desktop should have a door for each tube, access to the common area here, as you can see. And then it should also have a plug on each side. These plugs are printed in a certain way to where it's more of an oval, so there's an easy way to get it in, and then you twist it to make it firm. You can do this on that side as well, same thing on all of them. So you have a tight spot, and then you twist, and then it'll allow you to remove or put it back in. But you always give it a twist after you put it in to give it that tight snugness so even small ants can't get around. Okay, next I'm just gonna briefly walk you guys through the rest of the accessories. You're gonna get a pipette. This is actually it's for the capsule, but I put it in all the outworlds in case I forget one, and it's something you guys will be able to use to do sugar water feeding, whatever you need. Again, the free gift is gonna be your 3 test tube feeders, usually a business card with some QR codes, and then you're either gonna get 1 piece of cotton or 2 pieces of Q-tips, and those are gonna be for your fluon. We're gonna walk you through the exact use of this here in a minute. Put those to the side, and then you're either gonna get 4 blue PVA sponges or you're gonna get 4 gray PVA sponges. These will always be 16 millimeters. They match the tubes for all of our nests, okay? And then if you got one of the kits, which is the more deluxe kits, I guess you could say, it's going to have a pinkish tube that says red ant drink on it, and then it's gonna have a clear tube that says drinking water on it. Both are gonna be plugged with cotton. When you get these in the box, they'll most likely be taped or plugged in with cotton up here. And these are gonna go into your outworld, and these are gonna be for your ants to drink water, and then your ants to have their carbohydrate source. Again, I'm gonna walk you through the whole setup of the outworld here in a minute. And then you're gonna get a square feeding dish. This basically is just gonna be to cut up your mealworms, put your dead fruit flies, if you're gonna do a slice of fruit or something, basically to keep your mess off of this hard-coated floor. So if you keep the guts on this tray, you can rinse and wash this. This actually will stain over time. So if you are pretty religious about using this, you can keep the outworld nice and neat. And we'll explain some tips and tricks on how to make the ants keep it nice and neat as well. So we're gonna put that to the side. Again, this is just a little accessory. It's feeding tweezers. So when you cut up your mealworm, if you're squirmish, you pick up your mealworm, put it in there. You can even grab this and set it in the outworld with the lid off. So that's all that really is. This is going to be your outer diameter is 3/8 and inner diameter I believe is 1/4 vinyl tubing, clear vinyl tubing. Food grade is what we use. Not everyone uses that. And it doesn't seem to be an issue. This tube here, your clear vinyl tube, is going to connect your outworld into your nest area. And just by removing the plug there and placing this here and then connecting to your outworld like so, you end up with an extra plug, and that can cover that hole. So again, I'm going to walk through each one of these steps with you step by step, but the last of the accessories that I haven't explained is going to be your heat cable. This is a very low watt heat cable. I would suggest using a thermostat with it. Set your thermostat to about 92 to 94, and then I'm going to show you where this goes, but just giving you an example of what's in the box so you guys know what to expect. Okay, I'm going to start with the hardest part first for you guys. So that's going to be, or not the hardest part, the most time consuming part of the whole setup, which should probably take you no less than 10 minutes. So you're going to get your 16 millimeter tube. You're going to open up one of these dealios, get your PVA sponge out, and get it ready. And this next part, I'm not just pouring water on the ground, I have a little dish over here. So you guys don't think I'm a wild animal. So this, I'm gonna use RO water or bottled water only. I'm gonna rinse the sponge out several times and wring it out into the dish. I'll set my sponge there, and then I'm gonna fill my 16 millimeter by 150 test tube up about a little bit more than a third. This is not incredibly important where you do it because you're gonna have multiple tubes. You're gonna place your PVA sponge in here. Again, this PVA sponge, you might get the blue ones or the gray ones, so don't be off-putting if you find the blue ones in there. So this, you're just gonna wanna push down vertically. There's a little trick here that I'm not sure is widely known. Now, say I push it down here, and I got it all sideways, and I got a big gap of air here. Oh no, this is super disastrous. Not actually. So with these sponges, the good thing is you can walk them back side to side, and you'll eventually pop that air bubble out, and then pour your water out there, and you ended up with an almost perfect PVA setup here. So this will likely never dry out. If you have an air bubble in there, it could over time. So when you are filling it, if you want to go past the 1/3 and go up to like here, then that will give you that little bit of wiggle room to work that bubble out. And I have enough experience for sure on test tubes. You could always get the bubble out if you try. So after you do this, this is not super necessary. These are two of my favorite tools. A paddle skewer, pretty awesome, or whatever they call it. This is just a little foam towel wrapped and taped on one of those. I just get the water droplets out like that, off the side. So if I'm gonna put ants in this right now, immediately after I open my package, which is going to include ants in a shipping tube, which I'll show you here in a minute, but basically just a test tube with moist cotton on the bottom and your ants are in it, and you have to convince them to come in here. So you don't want a bunch of big water droplets, especially for smaller species, because they can easily drown or get stuck in it. And then we're gonna go on to the next step of this. So here in the desktop, after you've made your test tube setup ×4, because you have 4 test tubes, you're going to go ahead and go through the first part of the frame. And then when you get up to the tube port here, it's not gonna feel like it can fit on some of them. Some of them it'll push right in and twist, but the ones that feel like it can't fit, you just give it a little push and a twist and it'll go right in. Some are tighter than others, but they're all meant to push into a flat face. And if they're all even on the back here, that means you're at the flat face here and ants cannot get around that, almost no matter how tiny, at least with the common ones we deal with. That's never a point. So after you've set up there, now I'm gonna walk you through basically the tips and the tricks to leave the nest section done. So you have your test tube in here. You potentially could even have a test tube in here that got ants shipped to you. I'm going to show you that part real quick. And then we're going to go through tips and tricks or any type of modifications you might need to make. Everything here is handmade. So holes are drilled all by different people, handmade. They could be off slightly. We made everything in a way where there is a solution to any problem. So we're going to go ahead and show you what to do with your shipping tube now if you got ants from us and how you would connect it to the system. So the good news is that if you purchase your ants from us, they will come in a test tube like this. It just has some moist cotton and then a dry cotton plug. It's going to be a 16mm test tube by 150. It's going to be the same for the desktop and the V2. So if that happens, the easiest way to move your ants in, but it's going to take the longest for the ants to do, is to take this, pass it through the first part of the frame, remove your dry plug of cotton to give ants access to the system, and then close your door there. And so if you push your tube all the way in with this door closed right now, the ants don't still have access to the inside system yet, but they're in the system here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to try to convince them to go into the bottom tube. Also right here, I'm going to go into a couple tricks on the desktop and the doors and the plugs. Okay, so basically this nest was designed for harvester ants, and we just kept modifying it until it worked for everything in North America, basically. So these doors, we wanted to be easy to push in and out so that it's not easy for the customer to break them. And that's normally with most species not going to be an issue to have them loose like that. But if you're keeping something really small like monomorium or even smaller than that, what you can do is take a small piece of clear tape around your door, and usually just one little piece on both sides is more than enough to create some snugness and friction if you're dealing with really tiny species. So see, that goes in good now, and you could push it all the way. It's flat facing, flush. So now we know nothing could get out of that. And it's going to be a little harder to open, but you could take side cutters or something like that. And as long as you can get it started, it's still decently easy to open. Same thing's going to go for our Outworld plug that we end up using. Again, these are all hand drilled. I do a lot of them. It's hard work. Nobody's perfect. So what we do here, we again just throw a piece of clear tape around it, and then you can snip this right off so it looks nice and clean. Fold your little pieces over with one little 1/4 inch piece of tape, snug as could be, and then a little twist again, and not even the smallest ants could escape that. So another thing, we have created some door plugs, because if you have your Outworld this way and you pull this door all the way out, it can be kind of annoying. I don't know what we're going to do with plugs yet, because the easiest way to do this, and you're always going to have at least one door open in most instances, you just snip that thing right there, it goes shot off into the oblivion. Be careful with your eyes, use eyewear obviously, and then you can just push that one back in. This pathway remains open, and then your Outworld can be closer in if you're running for space. Millions of possibilities there. So that pretty much covers the desktop. We already showed you how to connect your tubing there to your Outworld, and so your whole unit would be set up now, your ants in here. Now I'm going to show it, but this door was still closed before I chopped it. So now I'm going to show you how to finish setting up the Outworld and give the ants everything they need here. Okay, so in your Outworld, you're going to remove your lid, your mesh lid, and you're going to place, remember, your drinking water. This is RO water or bottled water, always. As long as customers do that as well, if we have any kind of issues, I can eliminate water right off the bat. So, and then your other one is going to be your red ant drink. The ants can drink through the sponge here. So the thing to point out is when you opened your box, there was probably a dry cotton here or a piece of tape. Make sure you remove that when you're placing the drinking water and the red ant drink in here. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and place my feeding dish in here too, because later on, I'll be able to drop in stuff I don't want to stain the floor with my tweezers. So then you're going to find this. It's kind of like almost a milky substance looking stuff. It's fluon, it's insecticide. Once it dries, ants cannot climb over it. So this is where your cotton or your Q-tips are going to come into play. I'm going to use cotton because it's, or the Q-tip because it's cleaner. And basically this stuff is going to last you a really long time. Every once in a while, turn it sideways if you're not using it in the bottle with the lid closed. Dip this in here, knock off any remainder, and then you're just going to do at least the top inch all the way around. Get close for you guys. At least the top inch all the way around without missing any spots, and be really heavy on corners that meet, okay? On corners that meet, that is where ants can get the grip. And honeypot ants especially, the fluon is the only barrier that works for them. There's other species that you can make DIY barriers that do work. We deal so much with honeypots here in the lab, in the warehouse, that we just keep fluon. So I did not do the super good. You can use tape as well underneath where you're going to put the fluon if you want like a really crisp line. But so as that starts to dry, you'll notice it's turning white, and it dries pretty quickly depending on the humidity in the room. But when it's fully dry, the ants can no longer climb over this at all. After maybe 4 to 6 months, you'll replace it the first time, but the more ants there are, the more often you'll replace it. And basically you can just watch the ants. If they climb up it and fall off, it's still working. If they climb up it and can get some grip, then you know it's starting to lose its effect. So once you have it like that, then you can plug in your tube back there that I unplugged, and you can plug in your vinyl tube there, and then you can open your door to give your ants access to the system. And we have our test tube down here that we had created that we want the ants to go to. So what I'm going to do here, take my heat cable, plug it into my thermostat, which is plugged into the wall, and I'm going to tell my thermostat that I want this thing to be about 92 to 94, okay? And then basically I am going to run this over the first part of the window, we call it, underneath the tube I want them to go to, and then just kind of gently to the other side, like so. And then if I take my blackout shield, you'll notice I have 3 different cutouts. It depends on where your sponge is. As time, the ants drink the water in their own test tube, and that sponge will walk back, so you can adjust where your heat cable lies. So this, we're going to go on the front one. So set my cover down in there. My heat cable gets perfect on both slots. Bam. Now my ants are in the dark. This tube's cotton that the ants came in will eventually start to dry. Open this door down here to the tube we want them to go into. And then once they find this hot, more humid space, the ants will drag the queen in there, and then they will start bringing workers and brood in there. Or in that opposite order. A lot of times you'll see them taking the brood and eggs first, and then you know, okay, they're going to be moving in soon. After you receive them, if you have them in this configuration, I would give them at least a day of not messing with them at all with the cover on, and anything you're going to do, you can do out here. Also, you will receive mealworms in a deli container. Those you just chop up and put on your dish here, one to 2 times a week in the beginning, and set your dish here. So basically, with this setup the way it is now, this is a full system that has at least 60 days worth of no maintenance on the nest side of it, and then at least 90 days of your drinking water and your carbohydrate source in your outworld pre-set up. So basically all you have to do as the ant keeper, drop your mealworm in 1 to 2 times a week and open up doors as the ants need space. Or if a tube starts running low, swap one of these dry tubes out, open the door, use the heat cable trick to get them to move into the new tube and replace the old one. This is the first part of a series where I will be walking through stuff like this. Now I'm going to show you what a big successful colony looks like in this system that started out as a single queen, which is pretty rare, I think, to the size I'm going to show you guys. Okay, I'm just going to warn you guys, I'm really bad at this media stuff, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove both of the blackout covers. I'm going to show you guys kind of a side view of what's going on, and then I'll grab the phone and I'll show you what's really going on. So, and remember, this colony started as a single queen in here, and this is Phodole rhea, the largest Phodole species in the world, they say. I am not an actual myrmecologist, so I cannot confirm that, nor deny it. So, as you see here, this started as a single queen, and they have an impressive, very impressive amount. So, they were caught at the end of last summer. They'd be going on around 6 or 7 months. They were fed protein once a week in the beginning, and then just seeds all the way through winter, and now I'm starting to offer protein again. Now I'm going to show you guys the inside of it. So here's the part of the video I want to talk about some tips and tricks to keep everything nice and clean. Basically, you only want to open the doors that the ants need. So you start out with 1 tube and you wait until that seems pretty full and there's quite a bit of ants in the common area, and then you open up more tubes. If you do that and the ants only have the space they need, they usually will keep the nest and common space very, very clean and the outworld very, very clean.